to another episode of the Horsepower Podcast, the official podcast of your Calgary Stampeders. Makayla here with Micah and Trevon Tate is joining us this week. Trevon, welcome to the pod.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Doing good.
Welcome, my brother.
It's also, Trevon, your first year in Calgary. How are you enjoying it so far?
I actually enjoyed it. I'm from Texas, so it gives me a lot of Texas vibes.
Yep.
It was very easy to adapt to. It was very welcoming with open arms. So, no, I enjoy that. I appreciate that.
We finally got this hot weather here right now. It took a while to get here.
Yeah, it did.
There's some cold days. Training camp was cold, but it's hot right now.
Yeah, it feels great. Training camp was too cold.
I mean, my first day there was a blizzard. Like, just came from San Antonio. Like, everywhere in the world's hot, of course. And I see this overshadow over Canada as I'm driving from Montana. I'm like, is that Canada? And it's like literally mountains, shadows, and then I get in there blizzard. So
yeah, it was definitely like I leave Texas. I got on basically shorts, a shirt, a jacket around my waist for the plane. I get out of the airport, the jacket went from my waist to my body, and I stayed inside till my ride appeared. I was just like, yo, this is a 40-degree difference easily. So
I'm one of those weird people that likes the cold, so you can make fun of me, but
you're not the only one.
Yeah, there's a few of us.
I heard a couple teammates say that in practice.
Right.
Like they're like, I missed the cold. I'm like looking at them like, guys, this is a great time.
Right.
It's called hot.
See, for me, this is my thing. It's easier for me to warm up than it is to cool down. So I'll grab like a blanket or like grab like a hot chocolate or something. But when it's hot like this, like it takes me a long time to cool down.
I don't know about that.
I will say right now the Heat got everybody on the team in a frenzy. Everybody who has a portable AC is finna sell it by today.
That is very true.
Because I was a victim. I bought one last win. And I gave him
how many BTUs?
12,000.
That is the right one to get, guys.
If it's not 12,000, do not get it. It's
not going to be enough.
It's not going to be enough.
12,000. This guy knows what he's talking about. It's 12,000 BTUs and up. Anyways, I'm not going to go into all that. I just bought 4 portable AC units, so I had to ask you because I started off with 8,000 and it just didn't do anything. So 12,000 was like freezing cold.
Yeah, my whole house is cold now.
Canadians, I know y'all don't know what air conditioning is, central areas. You can get a portable AC unit, start off with 12,000 BTUs.
And I only paid $320. Facebook
Christ.
Marketplace.
This guy knows what he's doing.
We got the inside. Speaking of the hot weather, it's going to be plus 30 this whole week. There's a $30 deal for fans right now. You can get $30 tickets in the blue sections at CVINP. If you go to Ticketmaster and select the code Patio, get $30 tickets. If we want to fill this place up on Sunday, it's going to be plus 34.
Oh, yeah. Get hydrated.
Yeah.
Get hydrated. Stay hydrated because it's going to be a long game, and we're going to fight all the way to the end. I can't guarantee overtime, but if we need to do overtime, we will have to do that. So y'all gonna have to do the overtime with us too. Don't leave. You can't leave.
Can't go nowhere.
Can't go nowhere.
It's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be hot. Them boys, they ain't getting no heat out there. What they at, BC?
Yeah.
That's right.
They get a lot of rain, so that's really our advantage. So we need the fans to stay and be loud so we can put on a show and come away victorious.
That leads to my next question for both of you. What is the hottest game you've ever played in?
You want to go first? I got a couple. I got a couple.
I
got a couple. I mean, man, before we talk about game, let's talk about practice.
Camp.
Yeah.
Let's talk about camp.
My gosh, training.
Cleats melting. Your cleats ever melted?
They're probably thinking you're kidding. They're probably like,
my cleats. I've been on the turf and seen like the waves, the heat waves, and your cleats melt. You walk around with water in your shoes. All you hear is.
But if you ever get in a situation, kids out there, turf or whoever's on turf, it's super hot, your feet are burning. The worst thing you can do is put water.
That's the worst thing you can do
because it heats up. It does some scientific stuff and it boils your feet. I mean, it was so hot one day that Coach Kingsbury actually, after one of our practices, got the fire department to come out there.
Really?
And water hosed us down.
Wow.
And let me tell you something about that, by the way. That's a whole nother. That water that comes out, like on TV, you're like, it's not enough. You need more.
It's like
We almost drowned.
100 pounds of pressure.
Yeah, like it was like.
They sprayed you down.
They sprayed us down, and it was cold water. I'll never forget that. But anyways, back to the game, right? My bad. In Texas, that's just the normal. That's the standard. Yeah. But my hottest game that I can remember was actually my first start. Sam McGuavin, who actually plays for the Jets now, he played for Saskatchewan for a while. He had got hurt, so I started in his place against TCU. And this was sophomore year, so 2013. They had Trevon Boykins. I mean, you can just look at that roster. All I gotta say is, it's in Fort Worth. Game at kickoff, 95 degrees, 100% humidity. Yeah, we lost that game like 86-26.
So that means it feels like 113.
Yeah.
And 100% humidity is like one.
It was like
113.
It was like a basketball game.
I need the conversion to Celsius.
It's over 33.
Oh, like
okay.
40?
It's about, yeah, it's
times
over,
2.
over
What is
30,
it?
yeah.
Times 2 plus 30?
So 30 is roughly around 100.
Yeah.
Around 30 is like 90-ish.
Yeah, 90. So
90-ish.
I'll say 35 plus.
Easy.
Gross.
Oh, and we had an air raid offense.
So
we had 95 plays plus.
The hottest game I had, I went to Memphis, so we played UCLA junior year. Around, it was like August the like 20th, late August, and it was roughly like 106. That's like, let's just say 38 at the lowest. And you know, those Cali guys, you got a lot of Polys and Samoans, and you don't have that humidity. Long story short, I watched like their first like starting group of D linemen. All 4 of them cramped up.
Wow.
IVs, they had to get IV. They don't have time. Like, it's just an unbearable heat. Like, you can't breathe. And it's like, you know, a lot of guys, they like to wear the visors. I take mine off every time.
It's a tough job. It's just not easy. One of the things that it's kind of like I watch Band of Brothers before. Like, when you're so tired, there's some points in your career, I'm sure you have this, when you're so tired that you have to look around and be like, yep, we're still playing. Like, it really is. It's so tough.
You got ice packs on your neck.
Oh, my gosh.
You got the mist machines blowing. You right in front. You lifting your
ice
jersey
towels.
up. Yeah, it's...
Oh.
Yeah.
We can talk more and more about this, but it's probably going to take us another episode.
Right. It's a lot of trauma.
I'll wrap it up with one more thing. Like, a thought that I had is, it's not surprising to me, we've had a few players become firemen after this. And I feel like you're experienced. You're wearing all that equipment. It's hot. I feel like it is basically like a fireman's job. Obviously not saving lives, but the transition there, at least you have the experience.
I couldn't imagine being a fireman. Like, shout out to those people. Like, to our first responder. Like, really, like, seriously. Like, we're playing football. It's hot. It's optional. It's optional, but the first thing they do is run straight into that fire. So thank y'all for what y'all do. Like, seriously, because, like, I mean, imagine it getting hotter and hotter as you go into a play. Like, that's what they're doing. So shout out to the firemen out there, man. That's an incredible job.
I actually thought about being a fireman, like, after football, because I'm just like, I mean, it's really chill. I mean, like, God forbid you get put into a crazy situation, you know, but the odds are just like not incredibly high for me to be like, it's not something I would do.
Right.
But I think it's cool. I got an old teammate from high school. He went to UTSA. He firefights. He spent 2 weeks on the station and 2 weeks off. So I think coming from football, that 2 weeks off part is just like, it's too like something I'm used to.
Right.
Because, you know, with the off season, you get weeks and months off. So those 2 weeks off, it's just like, okay, it's just like a little mini off season for 14 days. I can go do me,
nice, yeah.
and you still get paid for it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, 2 weeks out of the whole month. Basically 4 weeks out of every 2 months, I'm pretty much active, and then from there, I'm chilling. I can deal with those odds. Then it's just I don't know, just something about it. I mean, you still get the workout, you know, like. They treat firemen pretty well. They, you know, you get to be in magazines. I wouldn't mind being in a magazine.
You're going to be on the Christmas calendar.
Oh, man. Can you imagine that?
Well, after football, I'm losing 50. I'm losing 50. See, usually after football, the big guys get small.
That's true.
And, like, the small guys, they get big.
Bulk up.
Receivers.
Running backs.
Running backs especially, yes.
Jason Kelsey's already had a transformation going on right
you
now.
Know, he made so much money that he could just, you know, afford to go on the best diet a man has ever seen.
That's
so
true.
Yeah, and shout out to our president, Jay McNeil, the former offensive lineman. And Jay's pretty fit.
He's pretty buff, too. He's pretty buff.
that's how it's supposed to be. Usually old linemen the best looking guys too.
That's up for debate.
I got the D linemen are the worst. Worst looking guys are
Not
D
going to
linemen.
argue that. Just kidding.
I mean, we got a couple shots of James Bodders in his fashion fits.
He is a
I might argue a
fashionista
little
now.
bit.
Yeah, he is definitely Mr. Fashion himself for
He
sure.
holds it down for the rest of the D-line.
Yeah, for
probably
sure.
in the league.
Speaking of fashion, I've noticed a lot. Like we've gotten some love from some fans that we're the most styling team in the league. Would you argue that the Stampeders are probably the best fitted?
I'm not helping that cause, I don't think that much. or unless I'm helping the cause of like that look of the non-fancy look.
Right.
Then I do very well. I do pretty good on that. Like
Yeah.
I'm a new dad. I can do that.
I feel like you do pretty good with the fits when we fly. The
you.
airplane fits.
Yeah,
Those
that's
are
true.
always looking good.
I got a couple specialties coming up as
Yeah.
long as we have more of these themes. But,
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to dress yet, but hey, when I do put it on,
he's from Houston, guys. He's from Houston. If you know anyone from Houston, they put it on because that's just the standard.
Shout out Reggie Beggleton,
That's
close
my
to
cousin.
Houston.
me and Reggie cousins.
For real.
Yeah, I found out like 3 weeks ago.
What?
What?
Cause so you know I had some stuff happen with family, and he told me about it before I found out, and his uncle hit me up on Facebook and was like, yo, you have a cousin who played for Calgary. I was like, who? He was like, Reggie. So his uncle is my grandma's brother.
Wow. Small world. And
That's
you just found out
crazy.
now.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Y'all like cousins?
Nah, like we real life.
Like-
He's from Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah.
I'm from
Yeah.
Houston, and all my family they're from Louisiana. That's like 20 minutes from Beaumont. So it made sense when we was talking. I was like,
That is true.
then when I confirmed it, I'm like, yeah, no, this is
Wow.
actually insane.
What a small world.
close and small. That's all right, Reggie. Give him more credibility since he's
Yeah.
your cousin. Yeah.
We've been talking about the weather. It's going to be hot this week, but on top of that, it is going to be the Wally Buono Wall of Fame. He's being added to the Wall of Fame. Much deserved. One of the most, I think he's the most winningest coach in the CFL. Coached here for a long time from 1990 to 2001, then had a lot of success in BC. Micah, I know you played in BCA. I don't think you played under Wally, but did you kind
I
of get
did.
to learn about his legacy a little bit?
I did. I played. Coach Wally is my first ever CFL coach.
There you go.
actually. And I have to say something. I'm glad it came up. A couple weeks ago, you asked me who my favorite Canadian was.
Yes.
I should have said Wally Buono. I should have said that because
Changing
he was
the answer.
also a linebacker and a punter for Montreal, and was the all-time winningest coach. I think for 2 organizations, the Stampeders and the BC Lions. And I did not like. I walk into the meeting rooms and I look at those old pictures. You kind of just assume, these are from 1950s. Like,
Right.
like I don't know anyone here.
Right.
But I look like the oldest one. I'm like, is that Coach Wally? Like brown hair, and the
Yeah.
Coach Wally I knew was we had a like kind of inside joke. He was the Grandpa Wally, is what everyone said. So, but no, Coach Wally, he really kind of set the tone for like a head coach, like a real head coach, a professional head coach. And I was able to kind of like learn from him, and like him and Solly, and just kind of seeing how like a great head coach kind of acts and is. And we're still close to this day. Like I hit him up for like a lot of advice. Like he plays linebacker, and I'm honored that like when I went there as a linebacker, him being a linebacker, like I was actually chosen. I feel like I was
Handpicked.
yeah, like, all right, because he was not nice to rookies necessarily, but I had to earn my spot, and I truly believe, like, he's the reason why I'm successful in the CFL, because, like, I don't think I got lucky. I don't feel like it was handed to me. I feel like I had to really earn that spot,
Right.
and I still feel like that to this day. So shout out to Coach Wally. Yeah, awesome guy, man. Awesome.
And Trevon as well, I'm not sure if you've ever had this experience before, but a question for both of you. Does it make a game that much more special when you know something like that's going to be happening at halftime, just to be able to go out and play hard when there's a special ceremony happening in a game?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a little extra motivation because just the respect and love that you have for that person. I mean, it just allows you and makes you want to put it more on the line, and just like everybody loves to prove someone who gave them an opportunity right, because it's like you knew I could do it. So it's like you here physically, I'll show you in person once again that you made the right decision.
Yeah, and like for me personally, like it's exactly what he just said. Like sometimes you don't realize, like when something like someone's getting honored as players in a moment, sometimes we don't really realize how cool that moment is.
Right.
But then, you know, coming to my 7th year, it's like to be honored for just like working hard and all the sacrifice you put on that field. Like that's all you want. So to me, I'm kind of like trying to absorb how he feels right now and be like, you know what, that's a big deal. Like he really helped the Stampeders to kind of come back to where they are, and then he went to BC and helped them to get a Grey Cup there while I was there, and then even bigger than that, I mean, he's a huge part of the CFL in general. Like he's Coach Buono, like he's the godfather, as we used to say, you know. So like, I don't know, I just think it's really awesome to like have him there. And I saw him last year, a couple games, and he came over, hey Micah, I'm like, I just hear that voice and it's like my heart drops a little bit, because it's like you don't want him necessarily saying your name all the time, but like now that he's, you know, not coaching anymore, it's a good feeling to hear him say your name.
Absolutely, and I feel like you just hit it on the head there with the influence that he's had on the CFL, giving guys like Coach Huff his first coaching job, and leading guys like Dave Dickinson as a quarterback to a coach as well. And the coaching tree is crazy how big it is. Like I just talked to Danny Barrett the other day, and it's crazy to see like his first coaching job ever was here in '97, and now he's assistant head coach and running backs coach of the Houston Texans. And it's like a guy like that, like, you know, your start can. Wally just had so much influence on these guys, and it branches far.
Yeah, my crazier story is like I'm in the CFL like my my rookie year, and now I realized like, wait, like The Rock like tweeted Coach Buono. I'm like, what does The Rock have to do with Coach Buono? I'm like, then I learned like The Rock was a Calgary Stampeder and cut him, and The Rock's tweet was like, thank you, Coach Wally, for cutting me. That was the best thing that happened in my life.
Yeah.
And they're still friends to this day. So like even in having to cut people,
yes,
it's like he has that dignity of like, hey, I'm doing this not because I hate you or whatever. He's doing it because it's a business, but he's doing it kind of out of love. And like the fact that The Rock is like shouting him out for his illustrious career that's off the field tells you how much you need to know about Coach Wally.
Absolutely. Before we get into previewing this week's game, I just saw on Instagram today one of my favorite Patriots players, Danny Amendola, is being inducted into the Hall of Fame at Texas Tech. So I thought we would just do a little shout out, since I know that you're a Texas Tech guy. A little shout out to Danny, who's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame down there.
I actually did have a picture with him my junior year at Tech. He came to visit, and I have this picture. I'm wearing like a black Texas Tech shirt, and Danny Amendola was right there. And it's like, it is crazy to see how, like, again, like history is like one of my, I don't know, pastimes, because it's like, you know, Coach Dickey said it earlier this week, like, don't let history repeat itself. But sometimes history can be positive. Like, you see what someone did really well and then repeat that. And like Danny, everyone knows who watches this film or who knows him, like, super hard worker. Not the big, I was taller than him, but it didn't matter. No. Like, this guy is a Hall of Fame player because he worked hard and did what he needed to do in the NFL, and great player.
Absolutely. And that's one of my favorite things too, is like, I love those guys that are just going to work hard, that are maybe not the flashiest or maybe not the best receiver in the NFL, but guys like him, Edelman, those guys that kind of, Chris Hogan, that led the Patriots to some great championships, that were just gritty and got open and did the job that they needed to do. So super happy for him. But now we'll get into this weekend's game just before we wrap up here. Previewing the BC Lions. We already played them once in Vancouver. This is our next game against them on Sunday. Tough task. They're 5-1. VA is having an amazing year, and the receivers are just lights out over there. How do you prepare for an offense that's having that sort of attack this season?
Yeah, I mean, when he has 2,200 yards and it's only the sixth game, I mean, I would say, what is that Doug Flutie numbers almost, right? And again, shout out to Doug Flutie. I looked up his stats like one time, like 6,800 yards in one season. I'm like,
wild, the 90s.
6,800. I'm like, what defenses we're running? anyways, but like, no, like, VA is a competitor, and every time we play against each other, we always like have respect for each other. But you know, at some point, you know, like, I just feel like at some point, what goes up must come down.
Yep.
And that's just our mentality. It's gonna be a dogfight. It's not gonna be, oh, we're gonna blow them. No. It's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a hard game. It's probably going to come down to the wire like it has been the last like 7 times we play them. So it's going to be, it's either way, it's going to be an entertaining game. because he's going to make his plays, but we're going to make our plays too.
Absolutely. And Trevon, also a different perspective for you, being able to kind of watch from the sidelines. I feel like you have a different point of view, being able to soak in the game from that perspective rather than being on the front lines and playing.
Yeah, watching it from the sideline, I mean, I was fortunate enough. I played him a good amount of times through my course when I was in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And one thing I just noticed is just like you can't get caught up in like who you playing against.
Right.
Like you can't get caught up in like, you know, like we know VA is I can't even think of a word for the way he's playing right now because it's unreal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I see it as like, okay, we could be the team to slap him back into reality. Like, you know, like you said, everything that goes up must come down. And you don't want to give a guy so much respect to where it's almost like you fear.
Right.
You fear what he can do. Because, like, we've stopped him before.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped him numerous of times. It's just going to come down to the consistency and just everybody has to just do their 112. We don't need any Superman. We don't need nobody to do somebody else's job, because normally when you try to accommodate for somebody else's job, your job is the one that gets exposed. So I just think, man, honestly, I think we have a very good chance of beating these guys, man. From the offensive side, I think we create a downhill attack, and we get those guys on their heels. We should be in the game because, I mean, they average, 31 a game?
Yep.
So in my opinion, they looking to outscore you.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many points do they also give up a good amount of points per game. So if you can match their scoring intensity, I think we walk out victorious.
And I think our offense really found their stride last week against Winnipeg. We put up 37.
Yeah.
The receivers were coming together. Diedrich was running for some crazy holes that he found. So I feel like it's coming together. It's just about finishing this week.
It's definitely, I mean, with the offense, man, there's so many new players here. Like, I'm a first-year guy on this team myself. I mean, you got Deontay Demery at left tackle, his first year starting every game. You know, you got our left guard moved to right guard.
Yeah.
Then Bryce Bell, who was a rotational guy, is now the starter at left guard. So on the O-line wise, it's just a lot of taking to get used to. I think we're doing phenomenal on that end. And then, I mean, just from like the quarterbacks and the receivers, man, you can just see that it's coming along more and more every week. But as the offense becomes great, like it doesn't just happen in week one, especially if a team hasn't been together for multiple years. If you look at all the team's offenses right now that's having a great amount of success, Toronto's been together. That O-line has been together since 2021.
Right.
You look at BC, they've been together since 2021.
Yeah.
You know, you look at Montreal, a few pieces got added, like Cody Fajardo, but all in all, that team's been the same for 3 years now. So that's just really, you can't just look at the outside when you analyze it. You got to kind of break it down and just look at, all right, what's really going on behind the doors, because it's a team sport. You know, a new team isn't going to beat a veteran team.
Absolutely.
It's just the reality.
Yeah, and I mean, it comes down to this. It's not about VA. It's not about Jake. It's about the team.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, this is why it's the greatest sport in the world. Because at the end of the day, like, how many games we've been close winning?
Every game. But, like, close but no cigar, right? But that doesn't matter because it's a team sport. So,
right.
I mean, I think football it's so great because you just got to do your 1 to 12. And then once you figure that out, as any young players out there, once you figure out, like, hey, let me just focus doing my 1/12 as good as I can, and that's all you can control. And then from there, the better you can do your job, the better you make your team. And if everyone has that mindset, I mean,
success is contagious.
It's contagious, man.
Because I know if I see my left tackle get 3 knockdowns, 4 knockdowns in the game, and I got 1 that next week, I'm looking to beat his number. It's just like the reason you play football is to compete. And I'm never competing with a guy I play against. I know that I believe we're already better individually. The problem becomes is, like we say, you gotta be as a team. You gotta trust one another. Trust that what we see and what we go over in practice is going to apply on game day. And that's just really what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. A great insight, of course, as usual. Micah and Trevon joining us this week in the Coors Light Corral. Kickoff goes Sunday at 5 p.m. against the Lions.
Yes, ma'am.
See y'all there.
See y'all there.